Isn't that one of the funniest things you have ever heard? It gets better and better every time I tell that story, so I appreciate you enjoying it so much. But let me give you some good news. On the topic of employee engagement, the percentage of U.S. workers who were engaged in their job rose about 1% from January to February of 2015. Now, the good news is that's the highest percentage that the Gallup organization has recorded in 3 years on employee engagement. The bad news is there were 13 snow days during that same period, so nobody was at work. But you know, if you dig really deep into the data, it reveals some very scary numbers. Only about a third of U.S. employees are engaged at work. Half are not engaged. And according to Gallup, about 16.8% of U.S. employees are physically disengaged from their jobs. So here's how that translates to your good company. You have 50% of the people who aren't even rowing. Their oar isn't even in the water. And you have almost 17% of the population who are trying to sink the boat. Now that's got to be scary. So my question to you is, how do we change that around? How do we create better outcomes? Now I realize that those of you in this room, about 200 of you, you're the top managers in this company. That's why you're at the Chairman's Award event. So you get it. But suppose, just suppose, that we could increase your employee engagement levels from, say, 32% to 40%. I think the results would be amazing. Your company would be more successful, your department would be more successful, and certainly the company would be more profitable, right? Right. So, how do we do that? Well, before I tell you the answer to that question, let's dig a little deeper into why we have the problem. The problem is that so many of your talented people are disengaged because we have an age gap and a learning gap and a technology gap. Let me explain what I mean. If you dig into the numbers, the average age of your typical employee in your company is 31 years old. Now compare that to the average age of the manager in the company. Just look around this room, men or women, 43 years of age. So here's what that tells us. That tells me that there's a differential in terms of how you learn to think and solve problems on the job, dramatically different from how your employees have learned. You see, most managers who were over 40 years old, we manage through what we call compliance tactics because that's how we were taught to manage and learn. We see ourselves almost as referees. And in other words, when a employee is out of line or gets it wrong, what you do is you throw the proverbial yellow flag and you correct their behavior or the process and try to bring that employee back in line, just like a referee would do in a football game. You penalize the employee, not harshly, but you do penalize the employee to get them into a compliant mode. So that's what I'm referring to when I talk about compliance. But the challenge here is that millennials, the 20 and 30-year-olds, they don't relate to the compliance approach. Since they were old enough to hold a smartphone, they have been self-directed. And they would much rather work under their own steam and consciousness than under a compliance-driven system. So, the overwhelming majority of your employees, think about it, they're plugged into wireless systems. They've got their smartphones, their iPads, their laptops, and other widgets that they're using day in and day out. And these computers and other technological wonders, they perform systematic and algorithmic functions to get answers to any questions they have. And guess what? if they can't get the answer, what do? They go on Google and get the answer in a nanosecond. Or they watch a video, a 2-minute video on YouTube that has pictures and explains it to them in easy to understand detail. So that's how millennials are learning. So the challenge that I have for you is that you have to find ways to engage your people better than Google does in a nanosecond, because that's how long their attention span is, right? It's true, isn't it? Yeah. So here are 3 tactics we're going to introduce today, and then we're going to help you master in the coming months these 3 tactics to better engage your employees. So number 1, you need to build better relationships with each and every person on your team. We're going to show you how to spend 10 minutes once a week with each and every employee in your organization, just 10 minutes, so that they feel that they're more engaged in the decision making and what's going on in your organization. And let's be clear, as Vince Lombardi, the legendary football coach of the Green Bay Packers, once said, a great coach doesn't need to like all his players, but he does need to love them. And when players know their coach loves them, they'll go through brick walls for him and put forward a second and a third effort on every play. When your employees know that you care about them, they'll be more responsive, more productive, more supportive of your goals and the company's vision and mission. And that's what it takes. So that's the first part. We have to build relationships. Now, step number 2, I want you to embrace their goals and dreams. Here's a very interesting fact about most millennials. They're going to switch careers about 7 or 8 times before they're 55 years of age. So you need to keep your best and brightest. And the best way to keep your best and brightest is to let them know that you really care about those things that they care about. If one of your employees tells you, my goal is to scale the 7 highest peaks in the world, your response should not be, what, are you crazy? That could kill you. No. What you want to do is be encouraging and help them strive for their goals and dreams, because that helps the individual understand, as a manager, you are also a mentor and a leader. So you need to be a dream builder, not a dream buster. Okay, and number 3, what I want you to do, and what we will teach you to do, is to demonstrate to your employees that they are valued and appreciated. Now, I realize that might be foreign to some of you in terms of your management style, but I have to tell you, when I was in my 20s, I once worked for a boss who had nothing positive to say to me or anybody else in the organization. And it really was belittling as an experience. I mean, okay, maybe I was an underachiever, but I got to tell you, it would have been nice if once he would have just said, hey, Tom, thanks for showing up for work on time, or congratulations on spelling your name right on the report. I mean, some words of encouragement would have been really nice. My point is, everyone on your team, everyone in your organization responds to positive words and praise and encouragement from you, their boss. So they need to know that you value and appreciate them. And the work they do is appreciated, even if they aren't perfect. And who is? Nobody's perfect. So what we're going to try to do is help you not only build positive relationships, we're also going to help you embrace their goals and dreams. But third, and very important, we want to help you praise and encourage them so that they feel valued and appreciated. you need to understand that part of your role as one of the top 10% managers of this great company is that you need to mentor and lead people. You need to mentor and lead people because that's what leaders do. And you are the leaders in this company.